So we've seen the shooty ghost warriors, let's take a look at the Aeldari Wraithblades, the fightiest Aeldari revenant constructions from beyond the grave. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking more Aeldari leaks, and continuing to cover the steady stream of datasheets that seem to be coming out of the new Aeldari Codex. To be fair, this one's been circulating in the wild for a good week or so already. I've just been a bit stretched for making videos on things, between having a very sore throat and so many other videos to make with things like new chapter approved, the Tau Codex, and a bunch of other previews. In any case, I think the Wraithblades are certainly an interesting unit to see the tune-up for. Currently I'd say that they're one of the better linchpin units for the Aeldari. The Codex does really struggle to put durable units that can fight people off the midfield objectives, and when layered with a fair few buffs, Wraithblades do get really quite efficient indeed. A bunch of these marching down the field with Protect plus Fortune really makes them incredibly hard to shift, and you can take them in enough numbers that they can pack some serious punch in melee, and make it so that they're going to be a really terrifying prospect to charge for all but the most heavy enemy units. I think they also might be quite popular because they appear in the Start Collecting Craft Worlds box that they have at the moment. Certainly doesn't hurt to get some relatively recent new Aeldari sculpts as they go, at a bit of a discount. I know they weren't released that recently, but I think their plastic sculpts do hold up pretty well. In any case, in this new playtester version of the Codex, the Wraithblades do appear to be 40 points per model, a very small increase up from 37 before. It appears to be 10 power level for the unit of 5, going up to 20 for a unit of 10, so no massive changes or surprises there, looking very similar to the Wraithguard. Their stat line is broadly quite similar to what it was, a movement of 5, weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 6, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 9 and a 3+ save. It's really quite helpful that they've gained +1 attack on their base profile, though this does appear to be at the expense of their rule that they had where they were getting +1 attack on the charge. I think it was called the Fires of Wrath, and I think that really is quite a meaningful change. A lot of the time they're either going to be charged or bogged down in ongoing combats. They are relatively slow, and just a little bit less guaranteed of actually going to be doing the charging, unlike the really zippy things like Shining Spears. Every time that they weren't going to be getting that extra attack, that's usually going to be a big 50% damage buff for those Ghost Axes, and potentially even a little bit more than that for those Wraithblades, as we'll see in a second. Keywords wise, they do appear to be very similar to the Wraithguard, Core Infantry, Wraith Construct and Spirit Host keywords. I'm sure that a few of those will have some relatively interesting stratagems or synergies. It'll be interesting to see what Spirit Seers do with the unit now. I can't help but think that their rules are ripe for an update, seeing as they work a little bit awkwardly at the moment. Weapons wise, it seems that the Ghost Axe is broadly unchanged. They'll still be striking at strength 7, AP -3, though they've changed damage D3 for damage 2, much like virtually anything that's on a standard unit in 40k these days. Going to be very good for chewing through things like Space Marines, somewhat underwhelming against anything with -1 damage like Orc Ramshackle or Dreadnoughts. The only major change for the Ghost Axe is that it's no longer -1 to hit, so that is a pretty significant damage boost in itself. The Force Shield remains unchanged, apparently just giving a 4+ invul. I do remember reading a previous rumour that said that it might also give you a +1 to your saving throw as well, which would have been very nice. At least as per this datasheet, Games Workshop don't seem to be going the full-on Storm Shield rules for this unit at the moment. I guess maybe it might have had the potential to be a bit much, with them being toughness 6, plus probably getting access to some very decent psychic buffs like Protect, plus them already getting that -1 damage as we'll come on to. The Ghost Sword loadout, however, has seen a bit of an improvement. It remains at strength +1, AP -3 and damage 1, so a whole flurry of strength 6 attacks, and in the previous rules it just gave you +1 attack, now they give you +2 all the time. I think that's probably a good internal balance change, to be honest. The vast majority of people I saw did tend to take the Ghost Axe and Force Shield, so it's certainly good that they didn't just neglect this one while buffing the Ghost Axe loadout. Overall though, out of the two, it does seem that they've improved the Ghost Axe more. Hitting on 3s will usually mean it's 33% more damage output than before. Going from usually having 4 attacks to usually having 5 is only a 25% increase. Not too significant, but I do feel that lightly with the durability thrown in, the Ghost Axe will still probably be the way to go. Special rules wise, there isn't really all that much surprising here. Much like the Wraithguard, they don't get battle focus, so no shooting and scooting. To be honest, that kind of makes sense for them anyway, seeing as they don't have guns, but they do get that Strands of Fate rule if your entire army is Aeldari. Could be good for saves, particularly on things like the ones with the swords if you need to make a save on a 6, and of course absolutely excellent for charging. It could give them a significantly better chance of making a charge out of the webway. Much like the Wraithguard though, and indeed Wraith units in general, they do also have this Wraithbone Form rule, giving them a very nice -1 damage. and I think that really is going to cause problems for the opponent, particularly on any damaged 2 or 3 weapons from targeting these guys, which before were some of the better guns that you could throw into them. To me, overall, I still think the Wraithblades are looking like a pretty great unit for focusing buffs on. As I was saying previously, Eldari really don't have all that many units that are just renowned for being durable infantry to throw up the board, and even out of these previews, loads of their aspect warriors seem to be getting even more elite and fragile, even if they do hit a lot harder than they did previously. Overall, despite the small points bump, it does look like they're both a little bit better in combat, and also quite decently more durable. They're no longer dependent on charges for the bonus attack that they get, that's just rolled into their profile at attacks 3. Their sword gets an extra plus 25% damage for gaining the extra attack, going from a normal 4 on the previous one to 5 now, and the ghost axe is going up to 33% extra damage due to not having -1 to hit. The durability won't care too much for mortal wounds or damage 1 weapons, but against anything that's damage 2, you're essentially an extra 50% more durable than you were before, needing 3 shots to down 1 guard rather than 2. And damage 3 weapons you're twice as tough against now. Previously you needed 1 shot to down a Wraithblade, now you'll need 2. Overall, just by their raw datasheet, I think they're certainly going to be improved, though I do suspect that they might be losing out on a couple of psychic buffs, even if we haven't seen the entire list of psychic powers yet. It's been heavily rumoured that Quicken, the Warlock one that allows double moving and then charging, will now no longer allow you to charge after you've double moved, so it's going to be a lot more useful for shooting units than melee ones. Kind of a blow to a relatively slow unit like the Wraithblades, who kind of relies on it to get into combat a bit more reliably. And also, I really wouldn't be at all surprised if the Protect power no longer worked on invul saves anymore. 3+ invul Wraithblades are an absolute menace to shift, but Games Workshop really has been moving away from that kind of thing in the new 9th edition codexes. A lot of the things that previously both buffed armor saves and invul saves now only work on your regular armor saving throw. It's not exactly all doom and gloom though. I can't help but think that a fair few of the craft world attributes are going to be more interesting for them. I bet the spirits here will do something more useful than they do at the moment, and I think there's every chance there might be a few more useful stratagems for the Wraithblades. They don't have a crazy amount at the moment, and seem like just the sort of unit that Games Workshop usually likes to give stratagems to either have offensive or defensive buffs these days. So anyway, let me know what you think about the Wraithblades. Do you think that they would be strong if they came out in this way in the new Craft World Codex, or do some of the other units that you've seen so far look a little bit more tempting? If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep the regular videos coming. I'm hoping to talk plenty more about the new Craft World rules and models as we find out more details. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.